All right, next up on our MCU rumors, some of which probably have drastically changed by the time we get through this because, MCU's up in the air and all that stuff.
You keep saying that, but, there's always going to be adjustments. Yeah, and that's all it is. It's fine.
Well, anyway, the next one up is this Thunderbolts movie.
Thunderbolts. What, is that like... Oh, is that the Thunderbolt from the Thor?
No. Thunderbolts was kind of Marvel's take on Suicide Squad that DC does.
So, like supervillains being forced to do work for the government type thing?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Except that's not how it started. It actually had a more original idea, but it's the kind of shocking twist type plot that you can only do once.
Like Daffy Duck?
Well... Kurt Busiek did this a long time ago. At the time, they had this big event story.
There's always a big event. It's really great.
No, it's kind of worn out its welcome by now, a long time. Anyway, but anyway, the situation was that everyone believed the Avengers, Fantastic Four, and a lot of these superheroes had died.
Oh my God.
But they were actually sent off to another universe where they relived their lives in a different way. And anyway,
that's
not worth the trouble. Anyway, I mean, for the time, whatever. But out of this, since there was a void left, suddenly there was a new superhero team on the scene. They called themselves the Thunderbolts, and they were all these new superheroes. Well, it turned out they were actually supervillains, and actually the Masters of Evil, they used to call themselves.
Masters of Evil? I mean, that's really putting it on the nose, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Legion of Doom. It's really not a whole lot of positives there in the name. But, this comes from the bygone era of comic books. But the Masters of Evil were the main team of supervillains to answer the Avengers. And since the Avengers were gone, they decided to just move on into the Avengers territory in disguise as these new superheroes. And they were getting praise and everything from everybody. And the idea was that they would get access that the Avengers had and would take over the world and all this type of stuff. Eventually, it came apart primarily because some of the villains started to like being seen as superheroes. So it was an interesting thing, and ultimately, they were unmasked and revealed. And the main leader, who was Baron Zemo.
Oh, he was in
yeah, and all that. So I don't know that they'll utilize him. I suppose they will to have some connection to the comic book narrative. But since then, it continued on, and it became basically a government-sponsored, Black Ops team for supervillains, and eventually even Norman Osborn,
the Green Goblin.
Yeah, he was put in charge of them. And stuff like that. And it led to them taking over the Avengers yet again, with Venom replacing Spider-Man, and a character called Moonstone replacing Ms. Marvel's later Captain Marvel and all that.
Carol Danvers?
Yeah, but, So anyway, perhaps since they're doing Secret Invasion, maybe they'll cross into that. But the lineup they have here doesn't really match up with the original storyline. So basically in title only, and probably some questionable characters to be used for a super team. And that's basically what they'll do. So it won't really have quite the overall elements that made the original Thunderbolts idea special.
Well, that's a lot of stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah, even though it's still relatively new compared to Avengers and whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff. You just got to kind of collapse it all into something for the purposes of your film version.
Well, that's what they always do.
Yeah, except, the Avengers, it had a lot more nods to the original narrative. I mean, first of all, their first villain that the comic book Avengers went up against was Loki. So, it's things like that. Here, I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as close to the original story, because it's just not set up for that. Except other than Baron Zemo, the rest of them aren't. They haven't introduced those characters. So anyway, Valentina DeFontaine. Sorry, not Dawn. It's a little bit stupid. Well, maybe if they put Dawn in there, but no one does a name like that. No, they don't. But who's her again? Well, that's I believe the Elaine character.
Elaine?
Well, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Oh, from Seinfeld. Right. Oh, that's right. She was yeah, she was. And so she's been showing up here and there, and she recruited the other Captain America who, beheaded somebody with his shield. And so Sam Wilson had to take over. Yeah, that was brutal. Yeah, it was. But anyway, who's him again? He's Kurt Russell's son. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And so now he's going to become U.S. agent because, you can put the USA word in it. The U.S. Oh, okay. I get it now. Yeah. So anyway, she's forming the Thunderbolts, and because she's actually a member of Hydra. She is? Yeah, well, in the comic book word, I'm assuming they're still going with that. But anyway, she's setting that up. So there's always something nefarious about it, despite the front that they're trying to do good, and they'll probably have the same conflicts where some of them, like especially U.S. agent, he thinks he's doing something great when actually he's serving corrupt people and stuff. So anyway, the Thunderbolts are brought together to retrieve adamantium from the carcass of the dead celestial Tiamat. Maybe that's a misspelling. Tiamat. What? Well, there's Tiamat from ancient myths. But I guess maybe they changed the name for the. I don't recall Tiamat, but maybe he's a hybrid celestial. Could be, or was. He died. When did this happen? At the end of the Eternals. Oh, that's right. That movie was amazing. No, it was terrible. You're just doom and gloom. So anyway, finally they're going to refer to this because, yes, there's this ginormous celestial creature trapped in the Pacific Ocean, which would have a lot of ramifications, but since then, other movies just don't even mention it. None of the other superheroes showed up to this, so it's a bit of a mess that they did it, but it would have been better to just ignore the Eternals ever happened, because it's so bad. Yeah, but if you stay to the ending, Harry Styles shows up. Yeah, man, he did. So anyway, so they want to get the adamantium out of the giant before rival factions do. Boy, it sure took them a while to get there. Probably should have got on that immediately, but anyway. So another interesting thing is the Sentry. The Sentry, like the 21st century? No, the Sentry, like a guard, that kind of, like spelled with an S. I don't. Well, anyway, just take my word for it. Well, I rarely do. But anyway, a Sentry is a member of the team who develops a malevolent split personality known as the Void. Oh, like Moon Knight. Yeah. And in the comics, they did have a crossover, little adventure, and it was actually not bad. It was kind of funny, but they had shared problems. But anyway, the Void, and it becomes a problem and threatens to destroy the entire planet, so the Thunderbolts must stop him. So actually the real threat is one of their own, that type of thing, which was actually the original plot of the Ultimates, which they probably should have used in the Avengers, but that wouldn't have been the original story with Loki. Yeah, that's true. So anyway, the Sentry, and there's rumors. Here in this one, they list Brian Gosling, Alan Skarsgård, and Alexander Ludwig being eyed for the role of the Sentry. That's been a while. Maybe they were. But since then, the rumor is Stephen Yeun, or the guy from The Walking Dead. Remember? The one that Negan beat to death with his baseball bat. Oh my God, that was so dramatic. Oh my God. So he's going to be a superhero now. Yeah. They're going to race swap the Sentry. Race swap? Well, the Sentry was originally white and blonde. Oh, well, no, we can't have that. Jeez, we got enough white dudes. Come on. So anyway, that's what they'll do with that. But then he becomes this crazy monster. So,
Well, he's got issues.
he sure does. The Sentry was introduced as this sort of event thing they did where they insinuated that this was one of the original Marvel superheroes from the 60s, but he had been wiped from everyone's memory because he was too dangerous. And but his main arch nemesis was a supervillain known as the Void. But surprise, surprise, the Void is actually him. It's just a split personality, and he's far too powerful. He seems like a Superman type character, but he's actually way more powerful than that. And he can't control his own personality or psyche or what have you. And they got to bring him down. And actually, I think they're pulling threads from the later Thunderbolts story with the Dark Avengers storyline that Norman Osborn was in charge of. And the Sentry just went nuts and started just wiping everybody out. And they, I think Thor ultimately had to take him down. But I don't know if Thor will show up here. But he could, but, well.
But that could work if Thor showed.
Yeah, but I don't even know if this is even going to happen, considering the situation they're in. So, finally, another member of the team is Bucky.
Oh, that's great. They gave him something to do.
Yeah. So he joins Thunderbolts, but as a spy for Captain America.
Steve Rogers?
No, Sam.
Oh, that's right, Sam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Falcon.
He's not Falcon anymore. He's Captain America.
Yeah. So anyway, he says, "Hey, Bucky, go see what this is about." He says, "All right." But he ends up becoming their leader and develops a bond with Yelena Belova.
Who?
She's the new Black Widow.
There's a new one?
Well, yeah, the original died in Endgame. And
that's right. Her movie was like a prequel.
Right. And then we met her sister. And so she takes her place as the new Black Widow on Thunderbolts.
Oh. Okay, see, it all works. This sounds like a great movie.
Well, it could be in the proper hands and whatnot. It's they got to go deal with this ginormous turd they left in the earth from the Eternals, but it might work out. You just never know.
You never know, but I do, because I have faith, and I think the MCU is just fine the way it is. And so it can only get better.
And that's what Captain America wants us to do.
That's right. Wants us all to do better.